Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons. Back with one of these critiquey reaction analysis videos. I need to find a way to reduce this to a much more palatable soundbite, so fire your suggestions down below. But what I've got for you here is Moratorium by Bandmaid. I think this is a live version. There are loads of Bandmaid reactions before, so I'll link to that with the eye up there. You can see the playlist of a ton of videos. I've really been enjoying what I've heard so far. It's like a combination of expect the unexpected, and that while there is a kind of a continuity, a kind of thread running through the songs of it being by the same band, they all have like a real kind of different feel and different texture to them, which is just, from a musician's point of view, just great to listen to. Before I forget, feel free to click like and do subscribe, you know, the kind of stuff that the YouTube algorithm just seems to thrive upon. But yeah, far too much from me. Let's just get into this one. Before I forget, I will pause the video just like that. This is foreshadowing of what will happen. I'm going to break down what's going on here. So if you just want a kind of standard reaction or to watch the original video, this is probably not for you, but let's just go for it. Okay, this is cool. Totally, this is what I'm saying, expect the unexpected. This is like a culmination between their kind of more hard rock stuff that I've heard so far. I think like kind of a bit like Trill, and then the kind of more dancey stuff as well, which I tend to kind of prefer more because that's kind of what I kind of veer to a little bit. But yeah, okay. Okay, so some cool stuff going on here that I just want to break down. We've got the kick drum here is just really adding a lot of momentum to the song, just keeping it going. It's almost a stoner rock vibe to it, like a kind of like Queens of the Stone Age on speed kind of vibe. The guitar over here, the rhythm's just letting this kind of note, it might not even be a chord, it might just be the note, which I'm suspecting is like a D or a C sharp because it sounds down-tuned to me, could be wrong there, ring out, and that's kind of giving enough space for this kind of frantic riff over the top here. Okay, cool. She went to the major there. This is something that I've covered in, it was the Nemo Phila, I think I pronounced that right, video I looked at a while ago. I'll link to that with the eye up there. But it sounds to me like what should be happening there in terms of like traditional music theory, there would have been a minor chord, but they played a major one there, or she's sung the major third over it. So it has this kind of like slightly, I don't want to say like hippie, but kind of slightly trippy, slightly psychedelic vibe. That note there, right? And it just gives this, because the guitars probably are playing power chords. Power chord is a chord that is. Alright, I'm going to do an impromptu music theory lesson here. If you want me to maybe do a little series of these, then let me know. But basically, most chords have a root note, do, a third, do, and a fifth, do, and then the root note, a higher octave, do. Right, more or less in pitch, you can get the idea. So a lot of the time, guitars play this root. They miss out the third and they play the fifth, and the third is what gives it a major and minor distinction. It lets you know what the chord is, if it's a major chord, if it's a minor one. If you don't play that chord, the singer then has freedom to kind of change the chord and make it major or minor, depending on which third they sing. The minor third, which is a semitone lower, or the major third, which is a semitone higher than the minor one. So I'm hoping that's made sense, and hopefully future me has edited some stuff in to make it a bit more visual as well. There are certain rules about which ones you could make major and minor, and it still sounds sort of okay, but I don't want to dive into that just now because I've probably taken up too much time with this sidetrack anyway. Cool stuff going on, cool stuff. There's, you know what, their songs also really make me appreciate the simple things because they do the complex stuff so well. When they do something simple, it's even more effective. So there, they were just like ringing out just the chord or a single note. Here it just went boom, and they're just kind of letting it ring out. The drums are keeping the rhythm going. It's more impactful because of all the crazy antics that have been going on in the song so far, and in all the other songs you kind of have an expectation of what to expect, the unexpected. And then here we had a really cool chromatic descent and the rhythm with a little trill going on in the lead. So that what you're doing is hammering on and pulling off really quickly between two notes. It's like there's something you would have seen Jimmy Page do, you know, he's kind of like doing his big solos and stuff. And it just sounds incredibly cool when you got this. Or something similar to that, and the rhythm. Okay, yeah, so much cool stuff. Just a great groove throughout this song here. I'm gonna pop it quite a bit far back a bit here. So that's what I was talking about. The simple things there. They're all kind of accenting those beats. Dun, 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 dun. Then we got space, where the kind of the vocals, the lead guitar, and some of the drums are filling it in. And then back in on that dun, 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 dun. Again, we're gonna have right the vocals with the guitar. Dun, 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 dun. It's almost a bit like a horn section or something like that, kind of a slightly funky element to the playing. Little touches like that I love as well. And the click there was this little filter, step filter. So yeah, just like a little synthesizer with like an EQ sweep over it that you'd get in kind of like a cliched dance music. Okay, this is a kick-ass chorus. This might be one of my favourite chorus so far. That's saying something. It's just unexpected. I thought it was going to be a bit more minory as well, but they've kept it upbeat. And then over the top, there's the synth patch is called an orchestral hit. It's kind of, if you listen to any Children of Bodom, they make me reference so many bands, or kind of that kind of like you know, that kind of melodic metal thing. Nightwish might use them as well, but I'm not too familiar on their stuff, so don't quote me on that. But kind of dun dun. The Gundam Wing theme tune, they're in that. I've actually covered that solo, which you can get with the eye up there, the version that was in the UK anyway. And it's the slightly kitsch, very kind of 80s like synth setting, but it just sounds cool here, doesn't it? I'm really loving this riff and the kind of slightly scrappy way that's being played, like using more of the edge of the pick to get this kind of, it's like the guitar's kind of spitting and snarling at you, like a kind of like a dog that's being like getting back off type thing. It's cool. So all these little textures you can add if you play, you know, a part too politely and too cleanly, it's not going to fit in the kind of vibe. It's like you know, Guns N' Roses are a good example. I've kind of cite them quite a bit with Bandmaid because it is an influence that I get coming through. But someone like Slash's solos fit the song really well because they are a bit gritty. If you put a more, let's say, kind of pristine player in like a Paul Gilbert, I don't think it would have the same impact. Although Paul Gilbert is a phenomenal guitarist, one of my favourite players. You can check out me drilling over his playing with the eye up there, but I don't think he'd work as well as Slash did in that context. And that's the same thing here. She's using a kind of slightly more kind of dirty way of playing to just convey that the right sort of emotion. Really nice use of the wah pedal there as well. I'll pop that back so you can hear it on the right side here. So if you hear a guitar doing a wow, wow, it's probably using a wah pedal. It's great because it sounds like what it sounds like. You say wah, and that's what it sounds like. So yeah, excellent. This is what I was talking about, this nasty guitar playing. You could have done something very nice and pristine there, but these kind of slightly out, really scratchy sounds. You got the wow and kind of cocked it. If I've got any cards left, I'll link to them up there. But it's basically using a kind of a narrow frequency band, so it's really kind of that kind of scratchy sound you get there. So as well as the note being kind of like almost nails on a blackboard, it's like the tonal texture is like that as well, and it's intentional and it works. She just puts slap in at every opportunity, doesn't Misa? Brilliant. There's always bits in the song as well where you just hear the bass and the tone is just beautiful. There's a few bars back there, but it went by so quickly, as they always do in these songs. Cool. Yeah, there's a little chromaticism leading into it, back into that chorus. So I don't want to dive into the theory of that. I might break that down, but I sort of thought it was going to happen. Like, you sort of anticipate things in your head sometimes, and you heard it, like they played it, and it just sounded awesome. That probably made no sense. I do apologize. And then kind of like tangenting off into like just a kind of like standard dance tune here. Brilliant. Our vocals have been really, really on point on this one. Like they're always good, but there's a little kind of, I don't know, extra special sauce about this performance. And you have, the thing is, the amount of pauses they do as well, where it'll go to just vocals. You have to have a really confident vocalist to pull that off. Who's not going to pull their punches and just going to belt it out when they need to. Cool, that's incredibly heavy. That is brilliant. What a transition. What a transition, man. And kind of like this sort of like Guns N' Roses-y, almost stoner rock thing into like an epic dance anthem, into this almost kind of like sludge metal thing with these dirty bands. Great. I was, in all honesty, I'm enjoying the groove so much. It was making me think about a bit like Black Sabbath or something like that. That I've paid no attention to the solo, so I'm just gonna pop that back. Oh, it'll take my guitar pass away from me at this rate if I don't pay attention to the lead guitarists. Cool, some nice Mixolydian scale there playing. Cool, this is good. What I like about their songs is there's sometimes that kind of like I talk about, a kind of thread of continuity between them, where they'll take a concept. There might be something like call and response or question and answer. Here there've been a slight thing of major minor, and what she's doing here is playing with the tonality going between major and minor, using two scales that are incredibly similar. The only difference between them is the third. So you have Dorian, which if I hopefully I'll remember to do this, I'll put an example of what Dorian sounds like in the background there, and a Mixolydian scale, and if I put that up as well, hopefully you'll hear that they're incredibly similar and be able to see from the notation there as well that there's only one note difference between them. So in certain contexts you can kind of switch and swap between them. A very Slash thing to do, a very kind of AC/DC thing as well. It comes from the blues being appropriated by rock. And of course, in true band-maid style, as soon as you point something out, they go, oh, well, yeah, we're done with that idea and we're on to a new one. So she was just playing some kind of out notes there. Yeah, like because of the rhythm guitar being quite dissonant and playing notes, you had a kind of a clash of keys there. But again, this is just the aesthetic they're going for. They have yet to write a bridge that I've heard that I've not immediately thought, well, that could be a song by itself. Lovely bridge here. It's got a slight dancey vibe, slight kind of indie alt rock thing. Great crowd participation going on as always. Cool. I don't know if it was a click track there or she was playing the kick drum incredibly quietly, but it's just in the background really nicely. Yeah, it's a really soft kick drum going dum 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 dum, just keeping the groove. Really nice. And that thing they do, the layers slowly building up, there's like a little synth bubbling away in the backing track, the backing vocals over the top. Beautiful, beautiful songwriting. And the notes the bass is playing, they're really adding a lot of emotion as well. It sounds stupid, but depending on which note the bass picks, like if it's a note from the chord or kind of a different one to extend it, there's a huge impact on, like a really profoundly one, and the emotion of the chord, for lack of a better phrase. Yeah, so if you listen to the bass there, it's like dun 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 dun. So playing these notes, they just have. It's difficult to describe in words without going properly down the theory rabbit hole. But you can just feel it. There's this sense of kind of almost like peaceful melancholy or something like that. Killer transition. Down to the vocals, down to the guitar, everyone in. This reminds me as well, there's this kind of really cool synth swell on the left hand side, and there's a while ago I talked about the Nirvana song Lounge Act and how they used as a kind of, it was in one of these critiquey reaction videos, I can't remember which one it was, and in the production in the studio version there's like an extra guitar comes in just before the chorus to bring it up, and that's that technique in action here. So that kind of synth kind of swelled in terms of the volume, came in loud, and then the chorus is kind of a bit quieter than the peak of that was, but because we've had the excitement of that loudness, it's almost like a wave where the chorus is kind of carried over on the momentum of that kind of volume swell. I'm just enjoying the music there. My brain had switched off entirely, so fair play to them. It's a rare occasion that happens. The synths work so well in this song. They're just adding this like almost euphoric, like little extra seasoning layer on top. It's like a lasagna, you know, you got all these different bits, and when you just put on that little sneaky bit of oregano like in between the lasagna sheets and it just pops through. Yeah, that's what it's like. It's like a lasagna. Oh dear, mate. Drums really going at it here to round out the song, just lifting, everything's ramping up a gear. And that's the only thing to do there in this situation when you've kind of taken the song to this peak as a singer. You just stand with your arms up, being like, see, you guys, they're part of the song now. It's like the audience has sort of become part of it as well, so she doesn't need to sing. It's so built up at this point. Yeah, so that one's really up there for me. That's kind of like my top three. I think like Play and Blooming have been kind of my main favourites so far, in terms of ones that have enjoyed, even like on a non-intellectual level, just a purely kind of emotional, visceral response to it. Yeah, I mean, spoil for choice over what I want to break down and analyze here. So, yeah, well, that's it. Okay, I'll try and do a slightly better take of that. Loads of choice over what I could break down here, so hopefully I'll pick something that resonates with you guys here. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to look at, this is more like a bonus thing than anything else, is this cool trill and the chromatic descent underneath. So a trill, just to clear it up, is just quickly going between two notes. So I'm anchoring down this note here, hammering on, and then pulling off the note. So you just pick it once, and let his hands do the work thereafter. You don't have to be strictly in time with a trill, you just kind of go as quick as you can and make sure you're kind of feeling the rhythm so you don't go massively out of time, so you still know where the beat and the bar is, but other than that, it doesn't have to be too strict. It sounds a wee bit like a bird song, you know. So if you hear an instrument going between two notes quickly, it could be closer together, so the note could just be this, or it could be further apart. The rhythm part is playing a C sharp, this 9th fret on the E string, down to a B, 7th fret, 6th fret, B flat, and then this A. So this B flat here is out of key. If it wasn't there, you just have a, which is okay, but when you add in that note, it just gives this kind of edgy, slightly more impending sense of doom. We're just in C sharp minor here, and the notes that we're trilling on are a C sharp and a B, so that's the root and the flat 7th. So that's why, despite the slightly edgy note, which is in fact the flat 5, everything still sounds pretty cohesive. Alright, so let's break it down and build it up. I'll start off with the bass here. I had to actually check out a different live video that someone just filmed with their camera because they're so close to the bass amp. I think this is the right rhythm, but don't quote me on it. It could be slightly more simplistic, it could be slightly more complicated. This does tie into what the drums are doing, so as a kind of musician, like intuitively, it kind of makes sense. But the basic notes we got here are this 4th fret, which is a C sharp, down to an A, down to an open E, then to B. So the rhythm I'm hearing is, and then kind of changing to the chord just slightly ahead of the beat. So there, the first time round, there's this really cool anticipation where we use this note here to lead back in to this note here, this C sharp to start off. We play the C in passing, then back onto it. Second time round, it doesn't seem to happen. They keep it a bit more straight. So I'll play that slowly by itself so you can hear it. Cool, so next up, this is how the drum beat goes. I'll isolate some of the drums so you can hear them and then pull them all together. After that, we'll hop on the bass with the drums so you can hear those locking in together. Okay, so this is the synth part, those amazing orchestral hits I was talking about before. I've just put up the piano roll here so you can kind of see where the notes are coming in, so I'll just play through that now. So pop-up notation here, and even if you're not a musician, it's still easy to make some sense of this. Trust me here, I'll break it down. So you can see the number 17 there. Underneath that is a line, you call that a bar line. The bar lines basically indicate the kind of breaks in music where you kind of, they indicate where the pulse is meant to be felt. This is just in 4/4, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty straightforward. You can see how that note is coming in slightly ahead of the bar line, it's coming ahead of the beat. And what's really cool about this is it's following the vocals, because our vocals kind of almost anticipate, they kind of come before the bar and they kind of push into it, which is why it's got that kind of energy. They've done a really cool thing with the synth here where it doesn't hit all the time, it's a bit sparing. You can see there's a variation between the first version, those first 4 bars, bars 16 to 19, and then the following bars, bars 20 to 21. There's a slight difference between them, and it just means that certain notes pop out a bit more. And it's these little subtleties that help give a chorus like a bit more push, but not kind of make it over the top. And last but by no means least, we're looking at the rhythm guitar part, which really just glues everything together. Now, in all honesty, I think this isn't a drop tuning, so I've not worked out the lead because I don't have any guitars that are currently in that tuning. And it sounded like she was peeling off to open strings, and the logistics of trying to work out how to do that in standard or tuning down for the sake of kind of one riff and then back up, it could be a total nightmare, particularly with Floyd Rose guitars. So, to wrap it up, we've got the rhythm. Really simple, it's just following the bass and hitting on every beat. So we have 1 to the A, to an E, to a B. Same thing again, C sharp, A, E, B. Now I should say, well, these would technically imply a C sharp minor, A major, E major, and B major. Because she's just playing power chords, that you could just call them 5, so it's like a C sharp 5, an A5, an E5, and a B5. So if you want those notes, 4th fret on the A, 6 on the D and G, same power chord shape down here, so you have a 5, a 7, 7, so that's on the A, E, and D respectively. E, open, 2, 2, and then up to here we have a 2 on the A, 4, 4 on the D and the G. And you're just playing it and then muting it, so probably lifting these fingers up slightly and maybe doing a bit of palm muting as well, just to make sure the strings don't ring out. So just really short stabs. We call that staccato playing, so another fancy musical term. If you hear anything that's being played, whether it's notes or chords, you call that staccato. So yeah, let's just do that slowly. Cool, I'll do that up to speed, bring in the other parts, and hopefully you can start to hear everything kind of locking together and just making this big epic chorus. Click there for some more bandmaid content, or there for just general reactions. Hit subscribe if you want to keep up to date with the channel. All that lovely, beautiful stuff that feeds the algorithm. Take it easy, guys. Have a good one.